Hi everybody, welcome to our masterclass on reparenting the inner child, which I really love doing. I really love doing inner child work. And of course, like the holidays, this is really a deep time to watch it because, we go back to our families, the inner child comes out. If you're watching this, please say hi. I really love seeing you and seeing the comments. It gives me this feeling of being connected to you and also helps me answer your questions and be of better service. So hi Parvina. Hi everybody. Hi Tehran. Good to see you. Good to see you. And so hi Gwen. Good to see you. 333. Yep. So whenever you have any questions, just post them in the comments. Hi Theta, good to see you. Good you made it. Hi Carla. I'm just gonna spend half an hour saying hi to everybody. So everybody, really good to see you. Thank you for showing up. This inner child stuff, if it's in the unconscious or the subconscious, it kind of runs our lives. And then we wonder why these relating patterns happen again and again and again in these same ways. So my favorite work to talk about, to facilitate, to do inside of myself is really this inner child work. And it brings up all of these energies in us. So for those who haven't really done a lot of inner child work, it might feel weird. Like the first time my therapist told me about my inner child, I was like, inner child? I have a child? And it's like, that's just weird. Hi, Ricky. That's just weird, And, but it's actually true. We all have our own inner child, inner boy or girl or whatever's in between inside of us. And the same neural networks that were established when we were little are the superhighways in our brain right now. So under the age of 6, so before the age of 6, we learn very quickly and very malleably how to do relationships, how to show up with our caregivers to get our needs met. Yeah? And before the age of 6, these neural highways of how to stay in relationship, how to get our needs met, how to feel loved or quasi-loved, they're pretty much locked and loaded. So if we are not conscious about these superhighways, they are running our show. We're just doing the same thing we did when we were little again and again. And how we relate, these superhighways of how we relate with our partners, with our caregivers, with our parents. These superhighways are really based on 4 feelings, the 4 primary feelings. And they're anger, sadness, fear, and joy. Yeah? And so the reason they're called primary feelings is because babies can recognize these feelings, these emotions, in the facial expressions of their caregivers. And so the babies learn by recognizing anger, sadness, fear, joy. So that's why we call them primary emotions. And so I just want to kind of lead you on a story of how these really young places get trapped in us, right? A bit of a story. You can close your eyes if you feel like it at this point. So a little baby is born into the world. This beautiful new baby comes into the world, and it's like, me, I have all these needs. Like I love, and suddenly there's needs. Back in the womb there were no needs really. We were just love, and now there's needs. Suddenly, there's a temperature change. I might be cold. I need warmth. I need physical contact. I need to be fed. I'm wet. I need to be dry. All these needs start coming into place. And, as a baby, we can't meet our needs. We can't really do it. So we're relying on our caregivers, our mom, our dad, primarily our mom in the first initial developmental phase. And we are just coming to the world so open, so loving, assuming that everybody's going to meet our needs all the time. And of course, we're gifted with parents anywhere on the spectrum between total dysfunction and total, kind of function, adaptability. But even the best of parents can't meet our needs all the time. And because our parents come into this world and have their own wounding because of their own family of origin and their own inner child, they are flawed in the way that they can show up for us in this place of connection and love all the time and get our needs met all the time. So we're this baby, we're like, love me, and I'm hungry. I'm gonna cry. I'm hungry, meet my need. And the mom, needs to wash the dishes or work or whatever, can't come right away. So what happens? The baby starts getting angry, gets really like, these feelings come up, this feeling of anger or fear that I'm gonna go hungry, right? Comes up, the sadness around it. And what happens? Rage, anger, fear, like harder, even crying really hard. And mom goes, baby, just be quiet. Be quiet and I'll meet your needs in 5 minutes, just be quiet. And the baby's like, okay, that didn't work. The anger, I wasn't met in my anger. I wasn't met in my fear. I wasn't met in my sadness. I better be quiet. And then, the need gets met. And that is how the strategy of how to get our needs get met gets reinforced. Oh, I should be quiet. I shouldn't express my anger, my fear, my sadness. I should just be quiet. This is one of the strategies. We all have our own flavor of how we start doing this, yeah? And so, because feeling these places is not safe. Feeling that anger is no longer safe because the need doesn't get met in that place when we're really young, And when we're really young, especially as a little baby, when our needs don't get met in our kind of caveman brain, we're gonna die. If our mom doesn't come and feed us, we'll starve to death. If I don't have the physical warmth or protection, somebody might eat me or kill me or whatever, whatever the story is, it's not safe. Yeah, it's not safe. Hi, Karen. And so feeling a lot of these feelings isn't safe. It might mean death in the neurology, and we become to strategies to cope. Oh, if I'm a good little boy or girl and I do all the dishes and I keep quiet and I people please and I give myself away, then I'll be in a relationship. Then I'll feel loved. Oh, for me to cope with all the feelings that come up with an overbearing parent who wants too much and keeps this energy of taking, I have to withdraw. I have to shut off. Yeah, I have to go away. That's another strategy of self-regulating. When we're young, especially when we're babies, this ability to meet our needs, this place of self-regulating, is very small. So little babies, infants, they can't even turn their head away from the stimuli, right? And the initial coping strategy for, and this is very important, the initial coping strategy that we learn as little babies is checking out, leaving the body. It's the only thing a little baby that can't even turn its head can do to self-regulate all of these emotions that come up that don't feel safe. And this place of checking out haunts us, stays with us well into adulthood. And it dissociates us from our feelings, from our needs, and from expression. And so, when I work with people, this place of checking out is a place we always come back from. We learn how to stay grounded. And so the examples, how's everybody doing right now? Good? Bringing up some stuff, maybe some of your own inner child stuff. If you have any questions, by all means, ask them. By all means, yeah? And, by all means, ask them. And for the person who participates the most, I will be offering to give away a one-on-one week intensive with me in the new year in January. So by all means, participate, ask your questions. If you're watching this on replay, do #replay, and you'll have a chance to win a one-on-one week intensive with me to really get into these issues for yourself deeper. So going back to these strategies, right? These strategies of coping. We talked about the anxious avoidant trap in the previous masterclass. That was really popular. A lot of people could see themselves in one relational pattern or another, or both, depending on the relationship. So this is where the stuff gets born. Yeah? Either we people please and we give ourselves away because that's what we learned as little children, to stay in touch, to stay in connection, or we withdraw our energy and move away when the parent is too much. Yeah, and we have to take care of them. We withdraw our energy. And these things come up in relationships all the time. And this is why doing inner child work is like the gold, what's that Indiana Jones thing? I forgot what the name is. But that's the gold of what we can do. The grail, that's the holy grail of personal development and healing and self-love and sovereignty and relationships. The holy grail, yeah, reparenting, inner child work. So this is where these patterns come up. And again, if you have any questions, please raise them. And so even in the most perfect of parent dynamics, parents still can't meet our needs all of the time. And because a lot of our parents come in with a lot of their own inner child wounding, that gets passed down from generation to generation. It's called intergenerational trauma. Yeah, it is a lot of times influenced by cultural factors, social factors, world events, crises, the intergenerational trauma of slavery, for example, for Black people in the United States, gets passed down in these ways, in these socio-emotional coping mechanisms of how to survive. Yeah, the intergenerational trauma of women in living in the patriarchy gets passed down this way. Oh, you should be a good little girl. Don't ask too many questions. I come from a culture where the woman is supposed, there's a lot of trauma around being of service to men in a way that has to be worked through and healed. But this is where this stuff comes from. So when we grow up, we look for partners hoping they can meet our needs in the way that our parents couldn't. So we don't have to feel these places. Yeah? And that is why we enter into a relationship and it looks amazing and rosy and this person seems like perfect. We found the perfect person. And boom, in 6 to 18 months, they're just not that perfect anymore. And the same pattern starts repeating itself. It's because we're looking for people to bring up these wounds. And there's this inner child, the inner child in us. The inner child in us hopes that this person will meet our needs in the way that our parents couldn't. Antoinette, hi, you said, can you dive more into the whole slavery mentality? I don't want to be misunderstood. I didn't talk about slavery mentality. I talked about intergenerational trauma that gets passed down, and it gets passed down in all the lineages in all of their different ways. And I just cited slavery as an example of that. From my work on this type of issues, there is a lot of, just going really quickly, and we can talk more offline if you want to do a clarity call with me about this. It's a lot of withholding of emotions, it's withholding of emotions. And again, I don't have slavery trauma, I have other intergenerational trauma. But from what I hear people tell me, from what I hear my clients tell me, is that anger isn't allowed. So for example, I heard one Black man go through a really deep process saying, as a Black man in the society, I can't emote anger. I can't do it. It's not safe for me. I can actually get killed. So this is, and that was really deep to hear. So this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about, but I'm not an expert on slavery issues by any means. It's just an example that I cited. And if you have any comments, please bring them on as well about that. So we pick our partners hoping that they can meet our needs in a way that our parents couldn't. And we attract provoke and we attract and provoke in ways we attract, project, and provoke our partners to essentially become our parents so that they can do it differently. It's like, if only I'm different, they'll be able to do it differently. And so this place of attracting, projecting, and provoking our partners to meet our needs in the way that our parents couldn't, so that they become this parent figure in a way, is the way that we get into this anxious avoidant trap. Yeah, in relationships. So how do we get out of it? How do we reparent our inner child? Yeah. And it largely goes backwards. It's not easy, but we go backwards. We start with this strategy. And does anyone have any questions by any chance? I know it's the end of the day. It's like holiday season. You know, we're all going to go see our parents, or some of us. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah? No questions? All right, I'll keep moving. If you have questions, just type them up. So how do we actually repair it? And again, this is like a basic outline. And if you're really curious about doing this work, please hop on a clarity call with me, and we'll really get into it a little bit more about how to do it. Yeah. Antoinette says, the projecting and provoking, what do you mean? And it's nice to, Theta says, it's nice to listen and reflect. Beautiful. I'll get into the projecting and provoking in just a little bit. Thank you. Thanks for your patience, and thanks for the questions. So going backwards, so we find the strategies. What are the strategies that we do to get our needs met? Yeah? What are these places that we keep repeating and repeating and repeating? How are we giving ourselves away in relationship? How do we withdraw our energy in relationship? I always talk about relationship being a dance between sovereignty and synergy with another. How do we preserve my own synergy when I'm in my own sovereignty, when I'm in synergy with you, yeah? External and internal. So what is this strategy? What are we doing? What is this unconscious pattern, this inner child pattern? And where does it come from? We unpack it. Yeah. Oh, I people please. Oh, it's because my mother, it's because to be in a relationship with my family, I had to give myself away. Becoming really conscious of it. And sometimes, talking about the stories in talk therapy, we can talk about the stories, but it's really hard to land the stories without the somatic experiencing of it. So with my partner, with my clients, we do a lot of movement in these places to energize these feelings and bring it into consciousness. Because when we're in story, we're not in consciousness. We're in the past. And when we energize it with our somatic experiencing, we can really land what is happening inside of us right now. And these coping strategies, they're strategies to not feel, yeah? All of these ways in which we do things again and again in the same way, we're not feeling. We don't want to feel these places that come up. We repress them, bypass them, etc. And so once we feel, we can make higher self-decisions and responses about how to be in relationships. So it's all about feeling. Feeling is the same thing as energy, and feelings flow in an energetic current. And it's not synonymous with consciousness. The more we feel, the more conscious we are, the more we're present, the more we're grounded, the less we are in story, yeah? And the more safe we feel. When we're not feeling safe, we're in fight, flight, or freeze mechanism, but really it's fight or flight. Freeze is a fight. It's a withdrawing of energy in a way. There's two options. And understanding what this trigger is. What's the trigger? And in terms of growth and unpacking it, the way that I work is that there's this place of safety. It's like the consecutive circles, yeah? There's this place of safety. And around it, there's a band of growth. And around that, there's re-traumatization. To be able to feel safe, we have to feel. Yeah? So by feeling our feelings and exploring our feelings, we are able to stay present and feel more safe in staying present. Hefzi asked, how do we notice when we are in an anxious avoidant trap? Beautiful. I really invite you to watch my masterclass on the anxious avoidant trap. It's in the guide section of the Facebook group. and it'll tell you everything there is about this tribe. And so the way that we can stay safe is feeling, tolerating these feelings of anger, of sadness, of fear, and not putting them on the other person, just staying with them. Once we know how to feel and stay safe, we can take risks to be more vulnerable, be more authentic, be more exposed in this band of growth, to ask for our needs, to ask for our needs. And be responsible for getting our needs met. This is also very important. That other person is not responsible for your needs as an adult. We are responsible. We're responsible for communicating them and taking ownership of them. Yeah? So, number one, how to reparent. Feeling safe, staying in our bodies. Oh, and when we re-traumatize ourselves, when we go beyond this band of growth, we're in story, we're checking out. The way that we know that we're not safe and we're re-traumatizing ourselves is when we're checking out. Yeah? So tolerating this place of safety expands our band of growth. So feeling, absolutely feeling. The more we feel, the more unconscious comes into the consciousness, and it doesn't have to rule our lives. Yeah? The fear may not go away. The anger may not go away. But because it's conscious, it's not going to rule our lives. We can step into a place of sovereignty around it. So tapping into our feelings, anger, sadness, fear, joy. What am I feeling right now? At any moment in time, we are always feeling one or a combination of anger, sadness, fear, and joy, right? Is this new or is this familiar? Is this feeling familiar? If it's familiar, how familiar? How young do you feel in it? Yeah, oftentimes these old patterns, they feel very young, very young. Yeah. If you feel young, that is an indicator that you're in the wound. You're in the little child wound. Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. Just be aware of it. Just be aware of it. Just bring presence to it. Yeah. What is your relationship to checking out? Do you like checking out? Is checking out your primary coping mechanism in dealing with relationships? When do you check out? Being present. This is, if for the journalers in the group, if you journal, this is a really beautiful thing to track. When do you check out in a relationship, in situations? What causes it? What's the trigger? That means you're not feeling safe in that place because the feelings are not feeling safe. They're coming up, not feeling safe, we check out. Yeah, like a little baby. Yeah. And so how do we break these patterns as part of the reparenting? First, we have to notice them and be really, really aware and conscious of them to be able to change them. A lot of people say, I want to change it at all. Well, we can't change it when we don't know much about it. We're not aware of it. Yeah. Antoinette, thank you for your vulnerable shares. I'd love to talk to you on a clarity call more. Carla asks, what are some examples of checking out? What does that look like? It looks like you're not here. That's pretty simple. You're not in your body. You're not feeling. You're in a story. And the story is either in the past or in the future. So you're not in the present. So it's a story about the thing that happened, whenever that happened, or the thing that will happen. And we're kind of in this mental loop. It's all mental, and we're in this mental loop about going over what has happened and how analyzing it, how do we stay safe moving forward, or analyzing a future scenario and figuring out on like a very energetic level how to stay safe moving forward. But we're in story, we're not in the present moment. Yeah, I hope that helps. Again, if you want to do this work, let's hop on a clarity call and we can really zero in on how that looks like for you. Yeah, so noticing how we check out. Now, how do we begin to repair it? So here's the ticker. These neural pathways, these superhighways of relating, they were built in relationship. Yeah, they were built in relationship with your caregivers. And I know there's a lot of us fierce, independent people out there who are like, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to read all the books, do all the things, and do it myself. But it's really like very almost, never say never, right? I'd say that probably the statistics of it like really happening, like really, like, I don't know. I'm not going to say never, but I haven't seen it. Okay, I haven't seen it. Because to rewire these neurological superhighways of relating that were done in relationship, we need a relationship. We need to do it in relationship. And it's really hard to do it in relationship without support because we get triggered in the same way. It's so easy to fall into the old superhighways because the new ones are either not existent or they're like this big. So we need the support. So that's why I work with people in a relating container. And the relationship between the client and the practitioner is where 80% of the work happens. You know, it's like a petri dish for experimenting, for showing up, for feeling, for being vulnerable. And then you can take those neural highways that you built in the container to your relationships outside, yeah? But, you know, this is the work, but there's other little things that you can do to strengthen your own neuroplasticity, to be able to be more open to new ways of doing things, yeah? Because the world is fractal, our world is fractal. How we do one thing is how we do them all. So this is where radical discontinuity comes in, right? And what is radical discontinuity? Radical discontinuity means basically getting off the rinse repeat in anything. It's like you have a 3-day conference, right? A lot of us are in the DC area. People go to conferences. You have a 3-day conference. What do we do more often than not? We sit in the same place every day. Do we have to? Are we in school? Do we have assigned seats? No. Do we pick the same seat? Yes. Is it the best seat in the house? Probably not, you know, maybe there's a better seat. We still go to it. It's safe. We did it yesterday. Somehow it's like, it feels safer to do it. Yeah? Change it up. Sit in a different seat. See how it feels. See how it feels to have a fresh perspective on what's going on. Yeah? Hi, Melly. See how it feels to have a fresh perspective on what's going on, to have a different angle, to challenge yourself even just that little, to sit in a different seat. If you never ask questions about something, how does it feel to ask a question? Yeah. If we go to a restaurant, we order the same thing because it feels really good to order that thing that we know and we love, or that flavor of ice cream. If we love chocolate mint, you know, Girls Gone Wild, like Girl Scouts, cookie dough, whatever it is that's your favorite flavor of ice cream, and you know you're gonna get it all the time because it's just the best. See about that other flavor you don't know much about. Yeah? Simple things to do. See if you can enjoy that different flavor, even if it's not the one that you know that's the tried and true. See if there's something about it that you can enjoy, that you can learn from. This is radical discontinuity. So the work that I do with my clients is really deep radical discontinuity. Ricky says that that's the wrong cookie. I don't know about cookies. I just know about feelings. Yeah. So the work that I do with my clients is really holding the safety of the container to explore the feelings that come up, to not rinse, repeat the same patterns again and again in our lives. Because we all deserve to feel connection. We all deserve to feel love. We all have this longing to show up in the world with an open heart, yeah, with vulnerability, with self-expression. We all have this, maybe, I don't know, if you don't have this longing, tell me, but it seems like a pretty universal human birthright, you know, the feeling of connection, of self-expression, of kind of higher self-power, to step into our higher self, abundance, all these places are our birthright. And yet we stay clear of them because of this inner child wounding. Yeah, they're nowhere external, they're internal. But it's the inability to tolerate these feelings that prevents us from tapping into our birthright, our resources. So yeah, It's like radical discontinuity at its most powerful, sovereign, like feeling alive, radical way. Yeah, and there's little things you can do as well to kind of make you feel more alive in that way. But it's really important to do this work in the container. And if you've been struggling in life, in not being seen, not feeling like you can express yourself freely, not feeling connected, not cultivating the types of relationships that you want. Yeah, we all want, to feel seen, to feel connected, to feel loved, to feel like our boundaries are respected, to know what our boundaries are and to be able to clearly communicate them. Very hard a lot of times. So this is the path. We feel our feelings. We tolerate them even though they're so uncomfortable at times. That expands our ability to be conscious, to be present, to feel safe so we don't have to check out or rinse repeat the old pattern that doesn't bring us fulfillment, that doesn't meet our needs. Yeah? And we show up in this place. We learn about what our needs are, because without feeling, without staying present, we don't know what our needs are. We're in story. We're out of here. So we learn what our needs are, and we're able to communicate them, to express them in a place that is sovereign, that takes ownership for them, that doesn't blame, shame, or guilt, or control the other person from meeting them, but that takes ownership for them. And in this place of vulnerability, we can actually get our needs met. Very deep work, not easy at all, but the results are really amazing. The results of these gifts that come with it are just so amazing, because we feel so much more alive. Because the thing is, if we shut off our anger, if we shut off our fear, if we shut off our sadness, we're also shutting off our joy. The feelings, they're flowing in one current. So the more we feel one thing, the more we feel another. And if we shut off and we feel dead, we're also excluding the joy, the aliveness that comes with this great gift of being alive. So if this is something that you really are interested in doing, if you feel like you've had enough of not feeling fully alive, of not feeling connected, of not cultivating deep relationships with people, with partners, of having the same story come over again and again, show up for yourself. There's this wound of, I can do it myself, but I've had clients say, I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to read the books, and they come to me a year later and say, okay, I'm ready to do it, and have amazing results. Quite a lot of times this happens. So my wish, my prayer is, don't wait, because every day that we're alive is so precious. It's such a gift. And the second day is not guaranteed, unfortunately. So if you want to change things in your life, please reach out. Please schedule a free clarity call if you're interested in doing this work. And we'll take it from there. The clarity calls are about 30, 45 minutes. We talk about your pain points, your challenges in life, your rinse repeats of the same old. And if it's in alignment, it's not always in alignment, but if it's in alignment, I'll tell you how we would work together to get you where you want to be with your intentions, with your goals. Yeah, and it's a really beautiful journey. I work with people in 3-month containers, which are often really scary to step into, because all of our old programming of unworthiness comes into play. It's like, oh, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I can do this, I can do by myself, I'm not worthy. That's the subconscious. I'm not worthy of this investment in myself. And that's the old programming. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that before you step into the container. So it really takes a lot of internal resourcing and being like, I'm worth it. I'm going to do it. I'm worth it. I'm ready. And so when you step into it, I'll take it from there with you. Yes, Elif says, yes, without the light of the other, those feelings go into the shadow. I couldn't do it myself, too. I just don't know how to ask for help. Yeah, absolutely. Asking for help is a very vulnerable thing sometimes. And just by asking for help, a lot of times we upgrade our frequency from the old patterning just by doing that, like just by stepping into the containers. That is a radical discontinuity from the past. So just in that, we're upgrading our frequency and our way of doing things and creating a new neural network of asking for help. Beautiful. Gwen says asking for help is so hard. Yeah, me too. Absolutely, me too. Yeah, I love taking this journey together with people because it is such a blessing. You know, I have a lot of training, I have a lot of experience in this work, in all the different modalities with core energetics, with, you know, sacred sexuality, sexual shamanism, with shamanism, more classical shamanism of gaining power back, but really with bioenergetics, core energetics, somatic therapy. But I'm also doing this work. Like, I'm also doing this work. There's solidarity here. You know, I have the experience, but these places are very much alive in me. So asking for help is also so hard for me too. So feelings needs expression, sovereignty, synergy. Yeah, inner child. And when my inner child, just to kind of end it this way, when my inner child shows up and says, I'm not feeling safe, I'm not feeling safe. Oh, I want to press the button, I want to write the text, I want to lash out and scream or throw or whatever. It's like this internal pressure of like, oh, I breathe. Breathing is a huge internal regulator. Breathe deeply. It's one of our initial primordial coping mechanisms. I breathe and I say, I'm here, I'm loved, I'm safe, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, I'm loved, I'm safe, and I'm not going anywhere. Say it like a mantra. Yeah. So please get in touch. It'll be absolutely beautiful. I'll put a link to my clarity call, scheduling link, in the comments. Ask for help. Show up for yourself and show up in radiance, in your full authentic expression of your life with all of your gifts that come from healing these places in a place of love, no matter how scary it is. And I'll see you soon. Have very wonderful holidays, and take care of yourself in them. They're not easy all the time. All right, all my best.